Tonight on KGW News.
I have 3 members who charged on me. I just shot 3 of them.
A big verdict today for a pot shop employee who shot and killed 2 robbers. Plus, could President Trump get around a court ruling and deploy the National Guard in Portland?
This is something that we have not seen in a very, very long time.
Then later, they call themselves the old guys with a purpose.
It's a good feeling to know that you're helping somebody that really can't help themselves.
How they're getting local homes in tip-top shape. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm John Adams in for David. Let's get right to the latest developments in the deployment of the National Guard troops to Portland and other U.S. cities. Tonight, we're still waiting on a decision from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals on whether President Trump is allowed to send in troops. Right now, a lower court's ruling is blocking the Guard deployment, but the Ninth Circuit could overturn that or keep it in place. And today, Oregon Senators Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden, along with 4 other Democratic senators in Illinois and California, are opposing the 2026 defense bill. It's in protest of President Trump's deployment of troops in cities, saying it's unconstitutional and using the military as political tools to threaten Americans' rights to protest. Meanwhile, protests continue at Portland's ICE facility, and that's where we find our Alma McCarty, who also has a look at another route the president might take to try and deploy troops. Alma?
Yeah, John, back here at the ICE facility, things are looking calm like they have most nights, with little flare-ups here and there. I'll let you take a look at what the scene is, just a couple of protesters, like maybe a couple dozen, standing peacefully outside of those gates. Now, the Trump administration's attempt to bring the National Guard troops here, we know this. Whether that can happen remains up in the air, with Singh's still tied up in court proceedings. However, one thing he has already threatened to do: invoke the Insurrection Act.
The Insurrection Act was actually passed in 1807, signed by Jefferson.
And more than 200 years later, the commander-in-chief has threatened to use it in cities across the U.S., including Portland.
It essentially says that the president, under certain circumstances, is allowed to send basically the federal military to come and enforce the laws of a state.
As recently as Friday, President Trump brought up the Rose City once again.
I hear how wonderful it is. It's not wonderful. It's a disaster. That's almost an insurrection, that place.
His comments teeing up another possible avenue to send troops to the ICE facility, should the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals make a ruling preventing them from deployment. Here's Laura I. Appelman, a law professor at Willamette University.
It's possible that under the Insurrection Act, if he sends either the Oregon National Guard or even the militia, that they would actually be able to do regular law enforcement. This means stopping people, arresting them.
Appelman says the last time the act was used was in 1992, when President George H.W. Bush sent federal troops to L.A.
During the riots, at the specific request of both L.A.'s mayor, who happened to be a Democrat, and California's governor, who happened to be a Republican.
But this time around, Oregon leaders have repeatedly pushed back against the president's wishes.
We haven't seen it being applied to states, against their desires, really since the desegregation of schools.
And in the same way that that Oregon took the Trump administration to court over the federalization of troops to be deployed here, Appelman tells me that they could likely do the same with the invocation of the Insurrection Act, an act that she called very broad and very vague. Some legal experts have even argued it needs a meaningful update. John, back to you.
All right, Alma McCarty live for us tonight. Alma, thank you so much for your reporting. And stay with KGW for continuing coverage of the protest and the legal battle over the Trump administration's attempts to send troops in. We'll have the latest updates here on KGW.com and on KGW+. And an update for you tonight, a former Portland pot shop employee who shot and killed 2 men during this robbery at his store last year was acquitted today. The break-in happened about a year ago at La Mota in North Portland. The jury in the case was asked to decide if Jason Steiner was acting in self-defense when he fired his gun. It was an emotional afternoon in a Multnomah County courtroom for the man accused of murdering 2 people during an armed robbery last year. 35-year-old Jason Steiner, surrounded by members of his legal team, found out whether he would be convicted on multiple murder charges after a week-and-a-half trial. Steiner was the only employee working at the Lamoda cannabis shop on the night of October 3rd, 2024, when surveillance video shows 3 masked men entering the store and holding Steiner at gunpoint. They eventually forced him out of the front door of the building. The video then shows Steiner going around the corner and grabbing a semi-automatic handgun out of his bag before returning and firing 13 shots. He then retreats across the street and placed this 911 call.
About the Lamoda dispensary. I have 3 men who charged on me. I just shot 3 of them.
Throughout the trial, the state argued Steiner could have just left the store after being forced out the front door, while his legal team claimed he was acting in self-defense. The jury delivered their verdict Friday afternoon.
Count 1, murder in the first degree, Tahir Burley, not guilty. Count 3, murder in the first degree, King Lawrence, not guilty.
Steiner was overcome with emotion after hearing the not guilty verdict. You can see him being consoled by his lawyers. Well, Steiner was also found not guilty on 3 counts of unlawful use of a weapon and 1 count of attempted murder. Well, to get you caught up on your other headlines tonight, a former West Linn doctor turned himself into the Clackamas County Jail today after a grand jury indicted him on sex abuse charges. David Farley pleaded not guilty during his first court appearance. Multiple women have accused Farley of unwanted sexual contact during what should have been routine doctor's exams. The judge set Farley's bail at $500,000. In Washington, the state has reached an agreement when it comes to a new law for reporting child sex abuse. Clergy members will not have to report allegations if they are disclosed during confession. The new state law was meant to make it mandatory for Catholic priests and other faith leaders to report child sex abuse. Under the agreement, they will still have to report allegations if they are discussed outside of confession. The courts still have to approve the new exception. A driver now faces several charges, including DUI, after slamming into a TriMet bus last night in Northeast Portland. It happened around 9:50 on East Burnside and 79th Avenue. Police say 38-year-old Kelly O'Brien was behind the wheel of a Mercedes SUV when she struck a TriMet bus. 6 people on the bus, including the driver and 5 passengers, suffered minor injuries. And Vancouver police need your help finding a missing 71-year-old they believe is medically endangered. Miguel Angel Bagley was last seen around St. John's Boulevard on Wednesday. He's 5'8", weighing 210 pounds with brown eyes and a tan complexion. If you see Bagley or know where he is, call 911. Well, turning now to weather, let's take a look outside on this Friday night. Some morning showers today, but overall a cloudy day out there. Celine Stevens is in for Matt, looking ahead to your weekend. Celine?
John, yeah, we saw those showers return later in the evening as well, so it's been sprinkling a little bit out there, and that's what we're seeing right now, too. We're sitting at 53 degrees at the moment, so it's a little cool, and again, we've been dealing with those showers in recent hours. Looking at our temperatures right now, again, 52 in Troutdale, low 50s in most areas on the map right now, 50 degrees in McMinnville as well. If we look along the coast, temperatures also in the 50s, 54 in Newport, 50 degrees in Astoria. So pretty mild temperatures overall, definitely on the cooler end, but looking at our radar, we had some thunderstorm activity down south, just near Canby, not really hitting the Portland area, but again, just south of us right there as those showers swept through our region. Right now, looks like we're starting to enter a little bit of a lull, but we will be seeing that rain return by tomorrow afternoon. So by Saturday afternoon, by around 12 o'clock, we're going to be seeing those showers push back into our area, and it's going to be a pretty on and off type of thing. So we'll have little bouts of rain. It'll stop, again, on and off until we get to Sunday, and that's when we're going to see that widespread rainfall that'll take us all the way through Monday morning. We'll talk more about what else to expect coming up in a bit.
All right, Celine, thank you. See you soon. You're watching